Before 2026 arrives, take a moment to pause. Not to plan, not to rush, not to add more to an already crowded life. But to notice something most people never stop to question: what is quietly draining your energy, your focus, and your inner power. Power does not vanish in a single dramatic moment. It leaks. It leaks in the way you speak to yourself when no one is listening. It leaks in the routines you tolerate, in the habits that seem harmless. It leaks in the people you allow to influence you without realizing it. And because the leak is subtle, most people never notice it. They keep adding more motivation, more self-help, more effort. But nothing changes, because the problem was never a lack of effort. The problem is what they are carrying, what no longer serves them. You might feel resistance just hearing this. That's normal. What drains you is often familiar, comfortable, socially accepted. It has a quiet, insidious power over your life. And yet, it is the first thing you must confront if you want to enter 2026 stronger, clearer, and more in control than ever before. This audiobook is an invitation, a call to examine where your energy goes, to identify the subtle habits, thoughts, and attachments that weigh you down, to remove them with deliberate precision, not to punish yourself, not to strive for perfection, but to reclaim what is rightfully yours, your focus, your confidence, your authority over your own life. Most people live in constant reaction. They respond to notifications, to opinions, to expectations, to social pressure. They live for approval, distraction, and temporary validation. They drain themselves without noticing, chasing fleeting recognition instead of cultivating real strength. Here's the hard truth. You cannot add clarity by doing more. You cannot reclaim power by seeking more validation, more approval, more comfort. True transformation begins with subtraction, with cutting, with letting go of what no longer belongs in your life. In the chapters ahead, we will explore 9 things that silently drain your power. Each one is a pattern, a habit, or a mindset that, if left unchecked, chips away at your confidence, focus, and energy. We will examine them with honesty, guided by clarity and stoic reflection. You will learn why they weaken you and how to remove them from your life in practical, actionable ways. As you listen, you may feel discomfort. That is the sign of awareness. The mind resists change at first. The heart clings to familiarity even when it harms. But discomfort is the gym where your inner strength is built. Every moment you resist the urge to cling to what drains you, you reclaim power. This audiobook is structured to guide you slowly, deliberately. We begin with reflection, moving into principles, then into exercises you can apply immediately. Each chapter offers clarity, examples, and steps to help you stop leaking power and start reclaiming it. Before 2026, you have a choice. Carry the same weight into another year, or step into the new year lighter, stronger, and in full control of your energy. The choice is simple, but not easy. It requires awareness, it requires honesty, it requires action. By the end of this audiobook, you will understand not just what to cut, but why. You will have a roadmap to reclaiming your power, and you will be ready to enter 2026 with intention, focus, and authority over your own life. Power is not given. Power is not borrowed. Power is reclaimed. And that begins now. Chapter 1. Cut the need for external validation. The fastest way to lose your power is to give it away without even realizing it. Every time you seek approval from someone else, you hand over control of your emotions. A like on social media, a nod of agreement from a colleague, a compliment that makes you feel temporarily worthy. Even the most well-intentioned praise can subtly condition you to depend on it. It trains you to perform instead of live. You start choosing what looks good instead of what feels right. You adjust your behavior to be accepted, not aligned. Your confidence becomes fragile. Your energy is no longer your own. Each moment of hesitation, every decision influenced by someone else's opinion, reminds you that your inner authority has been surrendered. Most people never notice this pattern. They think validation motivates them. They chase applause, recognition, or acknowledgement, believing these things will make them strong. And the more they chase, the further they drift from their true power. When your sense of worth depends on the perception of others, your emotional state becomes unstable. A single negative remark can overshadow weeks of effort and discipline. You feel small, unsure, and reactive. Here is the truth. Powerful people do not reject feedback. They do not dismiss advice or insight. They simply do not need permission to act. Their worth is determined internally, not by others. Their focus remains steady, even when criticism or judgment surrounds them. They speak and act in alignment with their values, not someone else's expectations. Their decisions are guided by clarity, not by applause. So what can you do starting today? Begin by noticing when your decisions are influenced by a desire for approval. Pause before saying yes to something that does not align with your priorities. Ask yourself, am I acting because this feels right, or because someone might approve? Practice small daily exercises. Pause before reacting to compliments or criticism. Reflect on whether external approval dictates your next move. Respond with clarity, not with performance. Write down one decision today made solely for your own alignment, without concern for what others think. Another step. Examine your social and professional circles. Notice the people whose opinions weigh heavily on you. Who drains your confidence simply by existing in your awareness. Begin to set boundaries, not out of anger, but out of necessity. You are reclaiming what has been silently borrowed from you for years. Your inner dialogue matters. Every time you cave to self-doubt because of someone else's judgment, you reinforce a pattern. Instead, cultivate self-validation. Affirm your decisions quietly, without needing an audience. Measure your progress by your own standards, not by the approval of others. Power does not require applause. Respect is not contingent on validation. Confidence is cultivated internally, self-earned and defended daily. Imagine your life before 2026. You wake up lighter, unchained from the constant need to please. Every choice is deliberate, aligned with your goals. Your energy is intact. Your attention is yours. Your mind is clear. Your actions carry weight because they are grounded in self-trust. Before 2026, cut the need for external validation. Notice it, challenge it, release it. Stand firm in your own authority, not because anyone else told you to, not because it is expected, but because it is yours. Your approval is the only one that matters. Own it, guard it, never hand it away. Chapter 2. Cut emotional reactivity. One of the quietest drains on your power is your own uncontrolled emotion. It sneaks in when you least expect it. A harsh word, a negative comment, a sudden disappointment. In those moments, your instinct is to react, to lash out, to defend yourself, to justify, to explain. And in that instant, your power slips away. Most people believe reacting is natural, even necessary. They say, "I'm just being honest." Or, "I can't help it, it's how I feel." But here's the truth. Feeling is not the same as reacting. You are not your emotions. You are not your reactions. Emotions are signals, not orders. They indicate something is happening internally. They warn you, guide you, and inform you, but they do not command your action unless you allow them to. The power of calm authority lies in the space between stimulus and response. That pause, that breath, that moment when you observe what is happening inside without letting it dictate your next move. Consider a moment from your own life. Someone criticizes you unfairly. Your heart races. Your thoughts flare. You feel the urge to respond immediately, to defend yourself. Most people act. They reply. They argue. They react. In those reactions, they surrender control. They become slaves to their own impulses, and what they thought would protect them only drains them further. Instead, practice awareness. Notice the emotional signal. Name it. Breathe. Hold it for 3 beats. Ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Do I need to act, or can I choose my response? What outcome do I want from this situation? This is the discipline of emotional control. Not suppression, not denial, not avoidance. It is observation. It is choice. It is mastery. When you cut emotional reactivity, you reclaim energy. You save time. You protect relationships from unnecessary conflict. You make better decisions. Daily exercises help. Pause before replying to any message that triggers frustration. Take a deep breath before responding to criticism. Journal for 5 minutes about moments when you acted on impulse and how you could respond differently. Practice small delays, even in mundane interactions. Wait an extra second before speaking. Over time, this creates a pattern, a new default. Your emotions inform you without controlling you. Your reactions become deliberate rather than instinctive. Your energy is preserved. Your authority grows. Imagine entering 2026 with this skill. Every interaction measured. Every decision deliberate. Every conflict met with clarity, not agitation. Cutting emotional reactivity doesn't mean becoming cold. It means becoming intentional. It means letting your values and judgment guide your actions, not your impulses. Before 2026, commit to this discipline. Observe. Pause. Choose. Every moment you resist the urge to react immediately, you reclaim a fraction of your power. Every fraction adds up. Every choice strengthens your internal authority. Feel it fully. Then choose your next move with purpose. That's how real control begins. Chapter 3. Cut constant distractions. Distractions are the silent thieves of your power. They arrive quietly, often unnoticed, yet they rob your focus minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. Every ping on your phone, every open tab on your browser, every email you feel compelled to check, every social media scroll you justify as a quick break. All of these are subtle drains on your energy and your authority. They are familiar, they are convenient, and because they feel harmless, most people tolerate them, unaware of the cumulative toll they take on their productivity, mental clarity, and inner calm. Imagine your day. You sit at your desk intending to focus on one important task. Your phone buzzes. You glance at it. 10 minutes later, you are replying to messages, checking notifications, and opening news feeds. The task you originally intended to accomplish slips further away. This is not occasional, this is habitual. And the more you allow these interruptions, the more fragmented your mind becomes. Your attention is stretched thin, your decision-making deteriorates, your energy dissipates. What you thought was harmless leisure quietly erodes your ability to act with precision, to follow through, and to create meaningful outcomes. Most people defend their distractions with excuses. I need to stay connected. I deserve a break. It's only a few minutes. The truth is that habitual distractions are addictive. They hijack the reward center of your brain, providing tiny, momentary boosts that mask the slow depletion of your focus and resolve. Every micro-interruption compounds over time, quietly stealing hours, mental energy, and confidence. Distractions come in many forms. Some are obvious, some are subtle. Social media and constant notifications are visible drains. Others are less obvious. Multitasking while working on multiple projects, engaging in gossip, absorbing drama, or lingering in environments that constantly pull your attention in conflicting directions. Even habitual thoughts and worries that pull your mind away from your priorities count as distractions. They may feel natural, but they are no less destructive. Every second spent attending to what does not serve you is a second lost from purposeful action. So, what can you do to regain control? Begin by auditing your environment and your habits. Identify the triggers that pull your attention unnecessarily. Notice which devices, apps, websites, and social interactions repeatedly disrupt your focus. Observe your own patterns. When do you pick up your phone, scroll, or check notifications without conscious intent? Awareness is the first step toward mastery. Once you have identified your main distractions, take deliberate action. Silence non-essential notifications. Set boundaries for social media, email, and messaging apps. Schedule specific periods for checking information, leaving your focused time uninterrupted. Create a workspace that supports concentration. Clear your desk of unnecessary items, reduce visual clutter, and design an environment that minimizes temptation to drift. When possible, remove or distance yourself from people and environments that pull your attention into unproductive patterns. Daily exercises can reinforce this discipline. Schedule 25-50-minute focus blocks and commit fully to the task at hand. Step away from your phone or put it in another room. Close all browser tabs that are not essential. Track the start and end of every focus session, noting whether you maintained attention or drifted. At the end of the day, reflect: where did you allow your focus to leak? Where did you surrender energy without awareness? Cutting distractions is not about eliminating all stimulation. It is about conscious choice. Choose what deserves your attention. Let go of what does not. Protect your mind as you would protect your most valuable resource. Each act of defending your focus strengthens your internal authority and reinforces your ability to act with intention. Gradually, your mind becomes a powerful instrument. Your decisions are sharper, your work is deeper, your energy is intact. Before 2026, commit to this practice. Notice where your attention is being pulled unnecessarily. Reduce, eliminate, and focus. Set strict boundaries with devices, social media, and non-essential interactions. Reclaim your time, your energy, and your clarity. Over time, these deliberate choices accumulate. Moments of uninterrupted focus compound into hours, weeks, and months of heightened productivity and mental clarity. Visualize your life with disciplined attention. Each day, you enter tasks with full presence. You complete what matters. You're not reactive, you're intentional, your energy is preserved. Your attention is your own. Distractions no longer dictate your pace or control your emotional state. Your mind operates with precision, your actions carry weight, and your life aligns with your priorities. You become someone whose presence commands respect, not through force, but through focused mastery. Each moment of conscious choice strengthens your authority and inner calm, building the life you intend to create. Cutting constant distractions is the gateway to reclaiming your time and your power. It requires awareness, deliberate action, and consistent practice. This is not optional. Protecting your focus is fundamental to becoming the person you want to be, capable of acting with clarity and authority in every situation. As you step into 2026, do so lighter, stronger, and fully present, free from the silent drains that have quietly stolen your energy for too long. Chapter 4. Cut negative self-talk. The way you speak to yourself defines the quality of your life. Every thought you allow in your mind shapes your actions, your confidence, and your energy. Negative self-talk is a subtle thief. It erodes your confidence, saps your motivation, and quietly weakens your authority over your own life. You're not good enough. You'll never succeed. I'm too weak for this. These thoughts may appear fleeting, harmless, or even realistic. Yet, repeated daily, they condition you to doubt yourself. They create invisible chains that bind your potential. Most people accept negative self-talk as truth. They call it honesty or realism. They repeat the phrases unconsciously, and with each repetition, they train themselves to underperform, to hesitate, to defer to others. The problem is not the occasional doubt or fear. The problem is allowing these thoughts to become default, to dictate your decisions, to control your responses, to color your perception of every opportunity. Powerful people do not deny their feelings. They do not pretend fear or doubt does not exist. They acknowledge them, observe them, and act intentionally despite them. They do not allow their internal dialogue to sabotage their potential. So how can you cut negative self-talk? Start by noticing it. Pay attention to the inner voice that comments on your abilities, your worth, or your decisions. Write it down. Identify recurring patterns. Recognize that thoughts are not commands. They are signals. They do not have power unless you give it to them. Next, challenge these thoughts. Ask yourself, is this statement true? Does it serve me? What evidence supports this, and what evidence contradicts it? Replace exaggerations with clarity. Replace judgment with observation. If a thought drains you, it is not serving you. Let it go. Daily exercises help build this discipline. Journal 5 minutes each morning. Notice negative thoughts and rewrite them into constructive alternatives. Speak to yourself aloud in neutral, assertive tones. I am capable. I am learning. I am enough. Pause before acting on any self-judgment. Reflect instead of reacting. Record yourself reading positive affirmations. Replay them throughout the day to reinforce the new pattern. Consider your environments as well. Negative self-talk is amplified when surrounded by critical voices, toxic social interactions, or unsupportive feedback. Limit exposure to people, media, or conversations that reinforce doubt. Instead, engage with environments that challenge you positively, that encourage growth and reinforce self-respect. Visualization is another powerful tool. Imagine yourself responding to challenges without internal criticism. See yourself acting decisively, speaking with clarity, and moving through the day without unnecessary self-judgment. The more vividly you imagine this, the more your mind internalizes a new default mode. Remember, cutting negative self-talk does not mean becoming arrogant, disconnected, or emotionless. It means reclaiming authority over your thoughts, choosing words that empower rather than diminish, and cultivating a mind that supports intentional action. As you step into 2026, visualize yourself free from habitual internal criticism. Your decisions are deliberate. Your focus is intact. Your energy is preserved. You approach challenges with clarity. You measure success by your standards, not the narrative created by fear or doubt. Cutting negative self-talk is an act of self-respect. It is reclaiming the power that has been surrendered to habitual judgment and doubt. Practice daily. Observe your thoughts. Challenge and replace them. Your mind is the most important tool you have. Protect it. Sharpen it. Command it. Before 2026, commit to this practice. Notice when your inner voice diminishes your potential. Challenge it. Reframe it. Replace it with clarity, strength, and constructive guidance. Each day you do this, your confidence grows. Each day, your presence carries more weight. Each day, you move closer to the person you intend to become. Your internal dialogue no longer drains you, it empowers you. Your mind becomes your ally. Your energy becomes yours again. Your life aligns with your intentions. Chapter 5. Cut relationships that drain you. The people you allow into your life determine the weight you carry every day. Not all relationships are equal. Some bring energy, support, and clarity. Others take, criticize, and diminish. Yet most people tolerate the latter because it feels familiar, convenient, or socially required. These draining relationships are subtle in their erosion. They do not always announce themselves with loud arguments or overt abuse. They whisper through constant criticism, passive-aggressive behavior, envy, or persistent negativity. They tug at your confidence, inject doubt, and consume your emotional energy without your conscious awareness. Consider the colleagues who undermine your ideas under the guise of constructive feedback, the friends who only reach out when they need something, never when you do. The family members who remind you of your shortcomings rather than celebrating your growth. At first, it feels manageable. You tell yourself, it's just a quirk. It's how people are. It's not that bad. But each encounter leaves a residue, a small drain in your self-esteem, a subtle spike in stress, a distraction from your own focus. Over weeks, months, and years, these interactions accumulate, quietly weakening your authority, your clarity, and your inner calm. Most people believe loyalty and obligation justify their tolerance. They cling to the idea of maintaining harmony at the expense of personal power. They compromise their boundaries, their standards, and their time. They sacrifice their own growth for the illusion of stability. Powerful people do not cut relationships out of anger or pride. They cut them because they understand that energy is finite. They recognize that their focus, attention, and emotional bandwidth are their most valuable resources. Protecting them is not selfish. It is strategic. It is an act of self-respect. So how do you identify relationships that drain you? Start with awareness. Notice how you feel after interactions. Do you feel energized, inspired, or clear? Or do you feel depleted, anxious, frustrated, or doubting yourself? The answer reveals whether the relationship serves you or diminishes you. Reflect on the patterns. Is this person consistently critical without offering support? Do they create drama or tension that pulls your attention away from your priorities? Do they encourage growth, or do they reinforce comfort and stagnation? Next, set boundaries. Boundaries are not barriers to connection. They are statements of intent. They clarify what you will tolerate and what you will not. You can engage with people respectfully while protecting your energy. You can limit exposure to draining behavior without hostility. Practical steps to begin. Limit the frequency of interactions with individuals who consistently sap your energy. Redirect conversations away from negative topics or gossip. Politely decline requests that conflict with your priorities or values. Surround yourself with people who challenge you constructively, inspire growth, and respect your boundaries. Consider journaling after difficult interactions to identify triggers and reinforce clarity. Cutting relationships that drain you does not mean abandoning empathy or compassion. It does not mean becoming cold or disconnected. It means understanding the value of your energy, your focus, and your mental space. It means creating a life where your growth is supported, not sabotaged. Think about your life before 2026. Imagine waking up each day without the emotional baggage imposed by others. Imagine making decisions without being swayed by manipulation, guilt, or unsolicited opinions. Imagine focusing fully on your priorities, unburdened by the drain of negative relationships. The process can be uncomfortable. People may resist your boundaries. They may question your loyalty, your commitment, or your values. This is normal. Growth always challenges familiarity. Your task is not to please everyone. It is to preserve your clarity, confidence, and energy. Daily exercises to strengthen this habit. At the end of each day, reflect on interactions that left you feeling depleted. Identify the root cause. Practice asserting boundaries calmly and clearly. Use neutral, respectful language to maintain dignity while protecting energy. Prioritize relationships that encourage your growth. Invest time and attention in those who inspire, support, and challenge you positively. Create a boundary checklist for recurring situations, triggers, responses, and action steps to maintain control. Remember, cutting relationships that drain you is not a one-time action. It is an ongoing practice of discernment, reflection, and alignment. It requires courage to prioritize your own energy over convenience or obligation. It requires honesty to acknowledge that some connections, however familiar, are no longer beneficial, and it requires consistency to maintain these boundaries until they become the natural framework of your life. As you step into 2026, carry this clarity with you. Your relationships will reflect your values, your energy will remain yours, your focus will be unbroken, your life will be designed, not dictated by the emotional patterns of others. Cutting draining relationships is a declaration of self-respect. It is reclaiming the power that has been quietly siphoned for too long. It is a prerequisite to living with intention, authority, and calm strength. Do this before 2026. Commit to it daily. Your energy, your clarity, and your life will expand accordingly. Chapter 6. Cut the habit of over-explaining. Over-explaining is one of the quietest ways people give away their power. It often begins with good intentions. You want to be understood. You want to be helpful. You want to avoid conflict. You fear judgment or misunderstanding. So you talk, you elaborate, you clarify, you justify, you add details after details, thinking that each explanation strengthens your position. But in reality, over-explaining does the opposite. It dilutes your authority. It weakens your presence. It signals insecurity rather than confidence. It reveals uncertainty where strength should exist. Most people do not realize how often they over-explain. It can happen in meetings, conversations, or casual interactions. It can occur when sending emails, giving presentations, or answering simple questions. The habit becomes automatic, a default response to any perceived scrutiny. Over-explaining is rooted in the belief that others' opinions define your worth. It is the same mechanism that drives the need for external validation. When you feel compelled to justify your actions or decisions, you surrender control. You hand your authority to the observer. Your focus shifts from purpose to performance. Powerful people do not over-explain. They communicate with clarity and brevity. They allow their words, actions, and results to speak for themselves. They do not fear misunderstanding because they trust their own judgment. They do not rely on approval or explanation to establish credibility. To cut this habit, start with awareness. Notice when you feel compelled to justify yourself unnecessarily. Ask, is this explanation necessary? Am I clarifying for understanding or to soothe my own insecurity? Will this detail strengthen the outcome, or is it draining energy? Once identified, practice restraint. Speak deliberately. Choose words with precision. Allow pauses to create space. Let silence carry weight where words are superfluous. Daily exercises can reinforce this change. In meetings or conversations, consciously limit your explanation to one sentence, then pause. Observe reactions before adding more. Draft emails or reports with brevity in mind. Remove all unnecessary justification. Before speaking, ask, does this need to be said, or can it be implied? Reflect at the end of each day. When did I over-explain? Could I have communicated the same point more concisely? Over-explaining also occurs internally. You may rehearse conversations repeatedly in your mind, justifying decisions before they even happen. This mental overextension consumes energy and focus. To counter this, practice mental discipline. Visualize key messages clearly. Commit to speaking only what is necessary. Accept that you cannot control perception, only action. Relationships, work, and daily interactions improve when over-explaining is reduced. People begin to respect your words because they carry clarity and authority. Decisions become yours alone, not diluted by attempts to convince or appease. Your presence becomes more commanding because it is grounded in trust. Trust in your judgment, trust in your preparation, trust in yourself. Consider your life before 2026. Imagine interactions where your words are few but meaningful, where your explanations are deliberate, not defensive, where silence communicates as much as speech, where people listen because your presence commands attention, not because you justified yourself repeatedly. Cutting the habit of over-explaining is a practice of self-respect. It requires honesty, discipline, and courage. Honesty to recognize when the habit occurs. Discipline to restrain the impulse. Courage to allow space for understanding without controlling every perception. Daily reinforcement strengthens this habit. Observe your communication in real time. Pause before speaking. Speak only to clarify what is essential. Let outcomes and actions speak louder than words. When done consistently, your energy is preserved, your clarity increases, your authority becomes unshakable. The less you explain unnecessarily, the more weight each word carries. The more intentional your communication, the stronger your presence and influence. Before 2026, commit to cutting this habit. Notice the impulse to over-justify. Restrict words to what is necessary. Trust that clarity and action speak louder than explanation. Reclaim the authority you unconsciously surrender each time you over-explain. Your mind becomes lighter, your energy sharper, your presence stronger, your life aligned with intention. And in this alignment, you discover a power that has always been within you, quietly waiting to be recognized, protected, and exercised. Chapter 7. Cut comfort that kills. Growth comfort is seductive. It whispers to you in the quiet moments of your life, promising safety, ease, and pleasure. It tells you that staying within familiar patterns is wise. It convinces you that avoiding discomfort protects you from risk, failure, or rejection. Most people interpret comfort as reward. They seek routines that require minimal effort. They choose environments that feel safe. They gravitate toward tasks that are easy to complete. They spend time with people who reassure rather than challenge. At first, comfort seems harmless. It provides temporary relief from stress and uncertainty. It cushions you from the world's sharp edges. It creates the illusion of stability. But comfort is dangerous when it becomes default, when it dictates your actions, your decisions, and your mindset. It quietly erodes ambition, dilutes focus, and dulls resilience. It lulls you into mediocrity. It prevents you from experiencing the growth that comes from challenge. Growth and comfort are opposites. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you sacrifice a fraction of your potential. Every time you avoid discomfort, you delay mastery. Every easy path avoided from the hard choice is an opportunity lost, an inch of strength not earned. Think about a time when you avoided a difficult conversation, postponed a critical task, or bypassed a challenging workout. Comfort offered temporary relief. Yet afterward, you felt heavier, less capable, less in control. Discomfort is a gym for the mind, body, and spirit. It strengthens patience. It sharpens decision-making. It cultivates resilience. It develops a character capable of handling pressure, rejection, and adversity. Most people shy away from discomfort because it is unpleasant in the moment. They fear judgment, failure, or the unknown. They forget that the reward lies beyond the initial struggle. They confuse ease with safety. They mistake familiarity for progress. To cut comfort, begin by recognizing its seductive patterns. Observe your daily routines. Which moments are chosen out of ease rather than intention? Which behaviors are repeated because they are simple, safe, or familiar? Which people, places, or activities offer comfort at the expense of growth? Once identified, disrupt these patterns. Introduce challenges deliberately. Seek experiences that stretch your abilities and test your limits. This could be physical, waking up early, pushing through an intense workout, practicing difficult skills. It could be mental, tackling complex projects, learning new concepts, questioning long-held beliefs. It could be emotional, having tough conversations, expressing opinions when it feels uncomfortable, embracing vulnerability. Daily exercises reinforce this practice. Schedule one uncomfortable task each day and commit to completing it fully. Deliberately choose an activity that challenges your routine or comfort zone. Reflect each evening. Where did I seek ease instead of growth? What could I have done differently? Journal the progress, noting how discomfort impacts resilience, clarity, and confidence. Cutting comfort does not mean seeking pain unnecessarily. It does not require self-punishment or recklessness. It means making conscious choices that stretch your capacity, strengthen your discipline, and sharpen your skills. It is about prioritizing long-term growth over short-term ease. Imagine your life before 2026. A life where challenge is embraced rather than avoided. Where discomfort is recognized as the path to strength. Where every action contributes to growth, resilience, and mastery. Comfort kills growth when it masks avoidance. Every compromise with ease diminishes potential. Every habitual choice of the simple over the challenging weakens authority, focus, and energy. To counter this, structure your life to integrate discomfort intentionally. Set measurable goals that require effort, persistence, and patience. Place yourself in situations that demand creative problem-solving under pressure. Accept tasks that you may fail at initially, but that will teach resilience and skill. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, not merely affirm you. The mental shift is crucial. View discomfort as an ally rather than an enemy. Understand that growth is inherently uncomfortable. Reframe struggle as opportunity. Recognize that the reward always lies on the far side of resistance. Over time, this practice strengthens character. Decisions become bolder, execution becomes sharper, presence becomes commanding. The energy once consumed by fear, avoidance, or hesitation is reclaimed for deliberate action and focus. Cutting comfort is also about environmental design. Remove options that perpetuate ease and inaction. Create systems that nudge you toward challenge rather than avoidance. Design your days with blocks of high-value, high-effort tasks. Minimize trivial distractions that offer comfort without progress. Daily reflection amplifies results. Ask yourself, where did I default to ease today? Where did I embrace discomfort for growth? What patterns of avoidance do I need to disrupt? How will this challenge improve my skills, mindset, or discipline? Every moment you step deliberately into discomfort, you strengthen resilience. Every task you complete despite unease reinforces internal authority. Every challenge you accept expands your capacity to lead, act, and thrive. Before 2026, commit to cutting comfort where it hinders growth. Recognize its seductive voice. Challenge its influence. Choose actions that stretch, teach, and strengthen. Your life will not be easier. It will be stronger. Your mind will not be lighter in the moment, but your resilience, confidence, and authority will expand. Your actions will carry weight. Your presence will command attention. Your energy will be preserved for what truly matters. This practice, repeated daily, compounds into profound transformation. You will move into 2026 with the confidence, clarity, and strength that only deliberate engagement with challenge can create. You will no longer be at the mercy of ease or habit. You will become someone capable of sustaining growth, discipline, and mastery through every circumstance, discomfort included. Cut comfort that kills growth. Embrace deliberate challenge. Step beyond what feels safe. Your life, energy, and authority depend on it. Chapter 8. Cut comparison with others. Comparison is a silent thief of confidence. It sneaks into your life in subtle ways. A friend posting an achievement online. A colleague receiving recognition you believe you deserve. Someone else's success appearing faster, brighter, or easier than your own. Most people react automatically. They measure themselves against others. They feel inadequate when someone else seems ahead. They feel frustrated when progress is slower. They allow their emotional state to be dictated by external benchmarks rather than their own journey. Comparison is dangerous because it shifts attention outward. You stop evaluating your life based on your priorities. You begin chasing metrics that do not align with your goals. You expend energy worrying about others instead of acting intentionally in your own path. When comparison becomes habitual, it erodes clarity. You second-guess decisions. You lose focus on what matters most. You forget that each person's journey is unique, shaped by circumstances, experiences, and timing. Your mind becomes a battleground of envy, doubt, and distraction. Your progress is delayed by fixation on external measures of success rather than internal standards of growth. Most people do not recognize how deeply comparison affects them. They call it motivation, inspiration, or awareness. But if each glance at someone else's life triggers insecurity or self-doubt, it is not motivating. It is draining. It is a subtle surrender of power. To cut comparison, begin with awareness. Notice the moments when you evaluate yourself against others. Pay attention to emotional reactions, envy, frustration, shame, or self-doubt. Ask yourself, does this comparison serve my growth? Does it provide insight, or does it drain my energy? Am I learning, or am I judging myself unfairly? Next, redirect your focus inward. Measure progress against your own standards. Track your achievements, growth, and consistency without referencing others. Celebrate milestones that matter to you. Anchor your self-worth in effort and discipline, not in someone else's outcome. Daily exercises reinforce this mindset. Journal your personal progress every evening. Highlight your accomplishments, insights, and lessons learned. Limit exposure to sources of comparison that do not serve you. Social media, unconstructive conversations, or competitive environments that foster insecurity. When comparison arises, consciously shift focus to action. What can I do today that aligns with my goals? Visualize your journey. See it as unique and valuable. Remind yourself that progress is not linear, and timing varies for everyone. Comparison also erodes energy when it triggers judgment toward others. You may criticize or envy peers who are achieving success. This wastes energy and perpetuates negativity. Instead, cultivate respect and curiosity. Observe what others do well and learn from it without self-judgment. Recognize that their success does not diminish your own potential. Focus on how their actions inspire better habits and strategies, rather than comparison-driven emotion. Cutting comparison is an exercise in self-mastery. It is understanding that the only meaningful measure of progress is your own alignment with purpose, effort, and intention. It is reclaiming mental space for creativity, focus, and deliberate action. It is preserving energy that would otherwise leak into envy, doubt, or distraction. Imagine entering 2026 free from habitual comparison. Your mornings start with clarity rather than anxiety. Your decisions are grounded in values, not in what others are doing. Your energy is reserved for effort that matters, for growth that matters, and for relationships that matter. You pursue your goals on your timeline, in your way, without judgment or distraction. Comparison often triggers emotional turmoil because it exploits insecurity. You may feel less than or behind, even if objectively you are progressing steadily. Your brain compares selectively, highlighting only what others have achieved, masking their struggles or failures. This distorted perception intensifies self-doubt. Awareness is the antidote. Recognize that what you see is not the full picture. Their successes are not your failures. Your journey is independent, unique, and valuable. Practical strategies to cut comparison. Schedule a daily reflection. Note your achievements, lessons, and next steps. Focus entirely on your path. When scrolling social media or reading news, pause and ask, does this inspire or drain me? Limit exposure to triggers. Practice gratitude. List what you have learned, and the progress you've made. Mentor or support others without judgment. Celebrate their growth without measuring it against your own. Comparison is a habit. Habits can be changed. By consistently redirecting attention inward, by measuring success through your own lens, and by limiting exposure to unnecessary benchmarks, you gradually reclaim control over your mind. You reclaim the mental and emotional energy that comparison steals silently each day. Before 2026, commit to cutting comparison. Notice when your mind drifts to envy or judgment. Pause, reflect, redirect focus to your own actions. Anchor self-worth in discipline, consistency, and alignment with purpose. Over time, you will notice subtle changes. Your focus strengthens. Your confidence deepens. Your energy becomes more available for deliberate action. Your decisions become clearer. Your life aligns with your priorities rather than external metrics. Cut comparison, and you cut doubt. You cut distraction. You cut the silent erosion of energy that comes from measuring yourself against others. Step into 2026 fully aligned with your own journey, empowered by self-trust, clarity, and intentional action. Chapter 9. Cut living without clear standards. Standards define a life. Without them, you drift. You wake each day reacting to circumstance instead of directing it. You let others dictate what is acceptable, what is important, and what is worth your time and energy. Most people live without clear standards. They accept mediocrity. They tolerate excuses. They compromise their priorities. They drift through days, weeks, and months without a clear framework to guide decisions, behavior, and action. This lack of standards erodes personal power in subtle ways. It manifests in decisions made too easily, in goals that are half-realized, in commitments broken because the bar was never high enough, in boundaries ignored because the default was always flexible. Living without standards leads to confusion, inconsistency, and frustration. You may notice it in missed opportunities, in feelings of underachievement, in a sense that, despite effort, you're not progressing. All of this happens silently, almost imperceptibly, until the weight of inertia becomes undeniable. Standards are not rules imposed by others. They are agreements you make with yourself about what is acceptable, what is required, and what is non-negotiable. They are benchmarks of quality for your actions, words, and decisions. They create clarity. They enforce discipline. They protect energy. Consider someone without standards. They promise to complete tasks but fail repeatedly. They allow distractions to derail focus. They tolerate behavior from others that undermines their priorities. They bend easily to social pressures, fear, or convenience. Over time, this pattern compounds into a life dictated by circumstance rather than intention. Now consider someone with standards. They define the hours in which they will focus. They decide the quality of work that is acceptable. They determine the boundaries of their relationships. They measure success by personal benchmarks, not by comparison or approval. They act deliberately, consistently, and confidently. Cutting the habit of living without standards begins with awareness. Observe your current routines, decisions, and habits. Where do you act without deliberate expectation of quality or alignment? Where do you tolerate behavior, situations, or commitments that contradict your values or goals? Notice patterns of inconsistency or compromise that undermine your own authority. Once identified, implement clear, measurable standards in daily life. Define your working hours, focus blocks, and personal time, and do not bend them for trivial reasons. Establish minimum quality requirements for tasks, communication, and personal commitments. Determine the boundaries you will not cross in relationships, work, or social engagement. Set standards for mental and physical well-being. Sleep, nutrition, exercise, and mindfulness practices. Practical exercises reinforce these standards. Journal 3 non-negotiable rules for the day and commit to upholding them without exception. Conduct a weekly review. Which standards were honored, which were compromised, and why? Create a personal accountability system. Track behavior against established standards. Reflect on deviations and adjust. Use visualization to imagine ideal execution of standards, reinforcing mental rehearsal for consistent practice. Living with standards is not about rigidity. It is about deliberate choice. It is about knowing what is acceptable, valuable, and aligned with your purpose. It provides a framework for freedom, not limitation. The boundaries you establish protect your energy, sharpen focus, and elevate decision-making. Standards also influence how others perceive and interact with you. When people know what is non-negotiable, they respond with respect. When your presence communicates clarity, consistency, and authority, influence naturally follows. You no longer expend energy negotiating expectations or defending decisions. You operate from a place of internal certainty. Daily reflection strengthens this practice. Review your decisions at the end of each day. Did you uphold your personal standards? Adjust for patterns of compromise, distraction, or deviation. Reinforce your commitment through action, not intention alone. The most profound effect of cutting the habit of living without standards is internal. Clarity replaces confusion. Energy is preserved. Confidence solidifies. Decisions become deliberate rather than reactive. Your life begins to align with purpose, not circumstance. Imagine your life before 2026. Every day guided by clear personal standards. Tasks completed to your benchmarks. Boundaries enforced without apology. Relationships navigated with intention. Decisions made with internal authority, not external influence. Your focus preserved. Your energy protected. Your actions deliberate. Your presence carries weight because it is consistent, intentional, and grounded. Cutting the habit of living without standards is challenging because it confronts long-standing tolerance and convenience. It demands reflection, courage, and persistence. It requires redefining priorities, rejecting excuses, and enforcing consistency. But the reward is profound: a life of authority, clarity, and resilience. Before 2026, commit to your standards. Observe where compromise has been the default. Define what is acceptable, what is required, and what is non-negotiable. Apply these standards daily, consistently, and intentionally. Every choice aligned with your standards strengthens your internal authority. Every day of deliberate action builds momentum. Every boundary enforced preserves energy for what truly matters. Your life becomes a reflection of intention rather than accident. Your mind becomes a tool of focus rather than a victim of distraction. Your actions carry weight. Your presence commands respect. And over time, the compounding effect of living by standards transforms your trajectory, empowering you to step into 2026 with clarity, strength, and unwavering internal authority. Chapter 10. Cut the fear of being alone. Fear of being alone is one of the quietest and most insidious drains on your power. It manifests in subtle ways. You stay in relationships that do not serve you. You accept compromises that erode your values. You agree to obligations you do not want simply to avoid the discomfort of solitude. You fill your hours with noise, social activity, or distraction just to avoid the emptiness of facing yourself. Most people fear loneliness because it confronts them with their true self. It exposes insecurity, doubt, and unresolved emotions. It forces awareness of where they have compromised, delayed, or surrendered control. Solitude magnifies truth, and truth can be uncomfortable. But fear of being alone is a self-imposed limitation. It keeps you tethered to people, habits, and routines that do not serve growth. It compromises judgment, dilutes energy, and fragments attention. It conditions dependence, making your emotional state contingent upon others' presence, approval, or validation. To cut this fear, begin by reframing your perception of solitude. Solitude is not emptiness. It is not punishment. It is a space of power. It is where reflection, clarity, and self-mastery are cultivated. Consider your daily life. How often do you fill your schedule with tasks, meetings, or social interactions simply to avoid being alone? How often do you suppress self-reflection because it is uncomfortable to confront your thoughts, emotions, and priorities? These patterns, repeated over years, quietly erode autonomy and inner authority. Powerful people embrace solitude. They understand that being alone provides clarity of thought, freedom from external influence, and an unbroken connection to their values. They use solitude as a tool to sharpen decision-making, strengthen discipline, and cultivate self-reliance. Begin with small exercises. Schedule a block of uninterrupted alone time daily. Even 15 minutes can be transformative. During this time, refrain from distractions. No phone, no social media, no noise. Use the time for reflection, journaling, or meditation. Observe thoughts and emotions without judgment. Ask yourself, where have I compromised my values out of fear of being alone? Note any insights or patterns and consider corrective actions. Next, expand comfort with being alone. Take longer periods of solitude intentionally. Engage in activities that challenge your comfort but do not require social presence. Solo walks, reflective writing, skill practice, or deep reading. Notice the discomfort that arises. Breathe through it, observe it, recognize that growth occurs in this space. Relationships are strengthened when you are comfortable alone. You no longer seek connection to fill voids. You connect from alignment, intention, and authenticity. You make choices based on value, not fear. You preserve energy because your well-being is no longer contingent upon others. Cutting the fear of being alone also requires addressing internal narratives. Most people construct stories of inadequacy or dependence. I need someone to feel complete, or I cannot be productive alone. Challenge these narratives. Replace them with affirmations grounded in reality and self-respect. I am whole on my own. I can act decisively without external validation. My presence is enough. Daily practice strengthens this habit. Identify moments when fear drives your social or professional choices. Pause before acting. Ask, am I doing this because I want to, or because I fear being alone? Practice saying no to obligations that do not align with your purpose. Reflect at the end of each day on moments when you allowed solitude to be uncomfortable, and note progress in embracing it. Visualization is powerful. Imagine yourself stepping into solitude without anxiety. Picture yourself making decisions, taking actions, and facing challenges alone, fully capable and undeterred. Your confidence grows with every moment of self-reliance. Your internal authority strengthens as you learn that presence, judgment, and clarity do not depend on anyone else. Being alone is the environment in which self-mastery thrives. It is where emotional regulation, focus, and discipline are honed. It is where insight into patterns, habits, and priorities emerges. By confronting fear, you reclaim energy, authority, and mental clarity. Over time, the benefits compound. Your attention becomes sharper, your decision-making more deliberate, your emotional stability increases. Your relationships improve because you engage intentionally, not out of dependence. Your life aligns with your priorities rather than the presence, approval, or expectation of others. Before 2026, commit to cutting the fear of being alone. Recognize the habits, relationships, and mental patterns that perpetuate dependence. Practice solitude intentionally. Observe, reflect, and act without external influence. Embrace discomfort as a teacher, not a threat. Your life will change. Energy will be restored. Focus will sharpen. Authority will expand. You will move with deliberate purpose, guided by your own judgment and values. You will become someone capable of sustaining resilience, discipline, and clarity through every circumstance, independent of external validation. Fear of being alone is not eliminated overnight. It is dismantled gradually through awareness, intention, and repeated practice. Each deliberate moment of solitude, each decision made from alignment rather than fear, strengthens your internal authority. It builds a foundation of confidence, clarity, and unshakable presence that will carry you into 2026 fully empowered. Solitude is not emptiness. It is preparation. It is refinement. It is mastery. Cut the fear, embrace the space, and reclaim the power that has always been within you. Now that we have walked through the 10 things that quietly drain your power, it is time to take stock. Before 2026, you have the opportunity to reclaim what is yours: your energy, your focus, your confidence, your authority over your own life. Every chapter in this audiobook was designed to illuminate subtle patterns that erode power, clarity, and control. From seeking external validation to over-explaining, from tolerating comfort that kills growth to fearing solitude, each habit, thought, and relationship you maintain without awareness gradually siphons your energy. The impact is cumulative, silent, unnoticed until you feel the weight of stagnation, distraction, and diminished presence. Awareness is the first step. Recognizing what drains you, the habits, the mindsets, the people, the comforts, the comparisons, is the foundation of change. Without recognition, nothing shifts. You cannot remove what you cannot see. By observing without judgment, you begin to create space for deliberate action, intention, and growth. Action is the second step. Awareness alone is insufficient. It must be accompanied by deliberate choice. Each day offers moments to practice, choosing self-validation over external approval, pausing before reacting to emotion, protecting attention from distractions, speaking with clarity and authority, upholding standards, prioritizing growth over comfort, limiting comparisons, cutting relationships that drain you, embracing solitude. The practice of cutting what drains you is cumulative. Small actions compound. Each conscious choice strengthens focus, preserves energy, and reinforces internal authority. Over weeks and months, these actions accumulate into habits. Habits form character. Character defines destiny. Reflection amplifies results. Daily or weekly reflection ensures accountability. Ask yourself, where did I hand away power today? Where did I act from alignment, clarity, and authority? What habits, thoughts, or relationships are still draining me? This ongoing evaluation allows you to course correct before patterns become entrenched again. Commitment is critical. Change is not instantaneous. You will encounter resistance, both internally and externally. Your mind will default to old habits. Friends, colleagues, and even family may challenge your new boundaries, standards, or practices. This is expected. Resistance is a sign that you are doing the work that matters. Persistence ensures that the internal authority you cultivate is resilient and sustainable. Integration is the final step. The insights and practices outlined here are not isolated. They interconnect. Self-validation strengthens emotional control. Embracing discomfort reinforces standards. Limiting distractions enhances focus. Cutting negative self-talk allows you to act intentionally rather than reactively. Reducing comparison frees energy for deliberate action. Cutting relationships that drain you preserves clarity. Embracing solitude cultivates insight and resilience. Together, these practices create a life where you act from intention rather than reaction. A life where your choices align with your values and priorities. A life where energy is preserved for what matters most. A life where confidence, authority, and clarity are not borrowed from others, but cultivated from within. Before 2026, take a moment to visualize the person you intend to become. See yourself walking into the new year lighter, stronger, and fully aligned. Imagine waking each day with clarity of purpose, making decisions confidently, acting decisively, protecting your energy, living intentionally. Envision a life where habits that drain you are replaced with patterns that empower, where every choice builds resilience, where your relationships, work, and personal pursuits reflect deliberate alignment with your highest standards, where your internal dialogue is constructive, supportive, and disciplined, where solitude is embraced as a source of insight and strength rather than a source of fear. This vision is attainable. It requires honesty, courage, and daily practice. It demands that you cut what drains you, not in a single dramatic act, but consistently, deliberately, and with awareness. Change is not an event. It is a process. It is a series of intentional choices compounded over time. Commit to cutting what no longer serves you. Stop seeking external validation. Stop reacting impulsively to emotion. Stop allowing distractions to fracture your focus. Stop over-explaining yourself to satisfy others. Stop tolerating comfort that hinders growth. Stop comparing yourself to others. Stop maintaining relationships that drain your energy. Stop tolerating negative self-talk. Stop living without clear standards. Stop fearing solitude. Every cut restores power. Every boundary reinforces authority. Every deliberate action preserves energy. Every moment of awareness strengthens clarity. Your life is the cumulative product of these daily, intentional choices. Step into 2026 with resolve. Do not carry old patterns, unnecessary burdens, or habits that drain. Carry clarity, discipline, and energy. Carry the strength that comes from knowing yourself, defining your standards, and acting in alignment with your highest priorities. Transformation is possible. It is not theoretical. It is achievable through deliberate practice and awareness. By cutting what drains you, you reclaim your power, presence, and potential. As you move forward, remember, power is not given, it is not borrowed, it is reclaimed. Before 2026, make the choice. Observe, act, and integrate. Cut what no longer serves you. Step into clarity, strength, and authority. Live deliberately, live intentionally, live fully empowered. Your energy is yours, your focus is yours, your authority is yours. Reclaim it now.